In interpersonal communication, you are expected to submit a discussion board for each of the chapters that we cover in class. So in order to do this well, you are going to have to look at the rubric. I'm going to show you this right now. Each of the discussion boards has an allotted number of points, and those points are given to you based on 4 separate things. So first of all, the number of words that you write and how well they're written. I expect at least 300, and I expect them to be college level writing, and that's true of both your own post and your peer feedback. Your post should also include a great deal of critical thought, and I'll explain what that means in a minute when we look at the first board, but essentially it's not going to be enough just to report on what you've read. Instead, you need to make connections between what you've read and anything else that it brings up for you. You'll also be expected to cite everything. This is your context grade. So you need to title your post using the specific concept title and the page number from the chapter. You'll also need to include definitions, explanations, and citations throughout your post, and that will also be true of your peer feedback. The peer feedback should go beyond just repeating what's been said, agreeing with it, or offering affirmation. These posts are not going to be just, hey, great idea, but rather showing more critical thought and making more connections. And so all of those 4 things are added up to create your total 20 points. Looking specifically at the discussion board, the questions, and I can just start with question number 1 or discussion number 1, it's going to be pretty much the same for all of the boards. So in chapter 1, discussion 1, I want you to think about, as you're reading the chapter, which specific concepts connect to something else that you've either read in the same chapter or things that are taking place outside of the course itself. Now, certainly you're allowed to make personal references. If you have experiences, or if you're in a relationship, or if you have communication styles that mimic the things that you are reading about, then that's great. But I also want you to make a connection that is that can be referenced with a clear citation. So a great thing to do here is to think about, well, where is this showing up in popular culture, for instance? Where is this showing up in current events? Or has it shown up in a historical event? And then you need to cite that information. So you're citing in each discussion board, you're citing your own page number and concept from the chapter. You're citing something that comes from outside of that material, whether it's a previous chapter or something else that is taking place in contemporary culture, historical information, and find an article, find a video, find some sort of referencing material here. You're certainly, again, also welcome to tie in your personal experiences, but I want you to go beyond that. So then a few specific things, and I have these bullet points right here to remind you of that. Choose one concept for your post, because your classmates are going to be choosing something that has not yet been written about. And so whatever concept and page number show up in your title, that's the one that you're sticking with, and so your classmates need to find something that's different. So that's why you clearly title your post with that concept and the page number. You're also only required to do 1 peer response. And so this is, I see a lot of students, they will respond to 5 different posts, but they don't show any critical thought in those posts. They're just saying, hey, this is a great post, or oh, this is a really interesting idea, great job. That's not enough. Choose 1 person to respond to, and in that post, you're expected to show more critical thought. Maybe you say something like, ooh, that was a great connection. It also reminded me of this connection here, or I just saw this in my favorite TV show. Here's a quick, synopsis of that show from YouTube. Or, oh, that reminds me of this song that I love. Or, oh, this is happening in contemporary culture or news or a past event. So again, any sort of connections you can make, you only need to make 1, but you do need to cite that. And again, to ensure that you get the most points possible, you want to go back to that grading rubric and make sure that you're doing what's expected of you. All of these discussions are going to be the same across the board. They're just going to reference the specific chapter. The more chapters we cover, the more back information you're going to have to make connections to. So for chapter 7, for instance, you're going to have chapters 1 through 6 to reference, as well as things that are happening outside of the course. If you have any questions about this, don't hesitate to let me know.